What's up, everybody? So for today's video, we're going to be checking out Sony and Marvel fighting on Spider-Man 4, Fantastic Four update, latest trailers, and more. Ready, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello there once again, my movie fans. We've got a couple of movie news stories to talk about, so let's dive into them. Some of the things we're going to be discussing here today, guys, is getting onto the movie trailers that have been released the past few days, including the new Jake Gyllenhaal Roadhouse trailer. We got some rather concerning reports about Marvel's Fantastic Four, along with an update about Sony and Marvel having a disagreement on where to take Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. Really, that along with so much more, so you guys know the drill. Leave your opinions down below, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. First, let's go ahead and thank the sponsor of today's video, and that's Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creators with thousands of classes led by industry pros across film, illustration, and Nikki, which is a comedy that's going to be starring a lot of people I enjoy. Zac Efron, John Cena, Andrew Santino. Happy to see him starting to get movie roles. And the movie seems to be about a group of friends who make up this fake individual that doesn't exist, that always seems to be in need of help, but is really just an excuse for him and his friends to get together, go out to Vegas, get drunk, just get away from their lives until the people in their lives start to wonder if the person they're always going to help is even real, where they hire John Cena to be this pretend person of Ricky Stenicki. Now, this is a straight-to-streaming Amazon movie. It seems like it's going to be a simple, fun comedy. Of course, comedy is always subjective, and not everything you find funny, I find funny, and vice versa. But overall, this feels like one I would actually tune in to see once it gets released on the platform. And even more recently, with some of the news stories we're going to talk about here today, it's so funny to see what Amazon deems theater-worthy and what is straight-to-streaming worthy. But I thought this was funny enough, I give it a treasure. Next up here, we got a horror movie trailer titled Immaculate that is starring Sydney Sweeney. As you know, around here, we are big Sydney Sweeney supporters, so to see her be part of a horror movie, immediately interested. And the premise for this seems to follow Sydney Sweeney as Cecilia, who decides to become a nun. She joins a convent, is trying to live a better life, only to realize things aren't what they appear to be. She starts to experience paranormal activity, ends up becoming pregnant without sleeping with anyone, and looks like a whole bunch of other sinister things begin to happen to her. Honestly, it was just funny seeing the internet react to this trailer because although Sydney Sweeney is a nun, they still found a way to show off her assets.
Hey! Can't you see this woman's a nun?
But that kind of stuff aside, I gotta admit, I'm never the biggest fan of these like religious horror movies or even paranormal stuff like this. They honestly sometimes end up boring me. And I really hate to say it, but I feel like without Sydney Sweeney, I would not have much of an interest to check this out. And the point of a trailer is to excite you, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give this trash. Next up, we got the trailer that a lot of people have been buzzing about, Roadhouse. Now, this is a remake of the Patrick Swayze 1989 film starring Jake Gyllenhaal. I really enjoy the Patrick Swayze version, and I was curious to see what Doug Liman and Jake Gyllenhaal would do differently with this movie, and it looks like they just added in UFC elements. The UFC elements go as far as to include Conor McGregor here as like a secondary villain, and you could just tell Conor McGregor is eating up every minute of screen time. The biggest thing that stood out to me, though, were the action scenes, because I feel like they are very well choreographed and make this movie look like so much fun. And although for the most part, I do feel like this movie will be very enjoyable, there is a part of me that feels like they went a little over the top with this premise, and it's giving me vibes of what they did with the Point Break remake, where it feels like they just went in a completely weird direction with the story, and I feel like that's what will be the lacking part of this movie, is the story. But then again, the original Roadhouse wasn't necessarily a masterpiece in its story, it just had a very enjoyable vibe. So overall, I am looking forward to this Roadhouse movie. Now, it's also worth mentioning the controversy attached to this film because the director has come out to boycott his own movie. Doug Liman went as far as to write an article for Deadline, where we get a lot of our movie sources, and he basically just rants off how he feels like Amazon did him dirty. Whenever Amazon purchased MGM and their movies, they promised that they would be releasing a lot of theater movies, and they told him as long as he made a good movie, they would most likely do that. But even though this movie has tested very well and apparently audiences really like it, they still decided it should go straight to streaming. And to kind of put that into perspective for you, The Bay Caper with Jason Statham, that was an MGM Amazon movie, and they thought that should go to theaters. And I'm telling you right now, Roadhouse looks 10 times better than whatever The Bay Caper was. But it always sucks when you see a director boycott his own movie, not wanting to be part of it because he feels like he was done dirty by the studio. But for me right now, I think this looks cool, and I'm gonna want to check out Roadhouse, and it sucks that it didn't get a theater release. But the trailer I wanted to talk about last is the one that most hyped me up and is now one of my most anticipated movies of this year, Monkey Man. Oh yeah, this ain't no superhero movie, but it might as well be with the amount of insane action going on in here. This movie is not only starring Dev Patel, but it's also his directorial debut, and he also wrote the movie. Jordan Peele is also producing the film alongside his company Monkey Paw, and it's basically about this felon who gets out of jail, is trying to adjust to life when something bad happens to him, and he decides to take revenge on those who did him dirty. And guys, the action scenes in here looks like some of the most intense creative stuff I've seen in a while. Very John Wick inspired. You could see right now on Twitter they have it trending, Indian John Wick, but I don't know if anyone should take that as an insult, because John Wick 4 is like the gold standard of what you would want from your action movies now. And yeah, everything about this just looks awesome. I never pictured Dev Patel as sort of an action star. I really enjoy him as a serious dramatic actor, but the boy is convincing me with his action scenes here. And heck, we were just talking about how Roadhouse was having this dilemma with their studio going straight to streaming. This movie was originally bought by Netflix for $30 million to go straight to Netflix, but once Jordan Peele got his hands on the movie and saw it, he felt like there was real potential for this in theaters and decided then to make it a theater release, which that just goes to show you the best movies do get theater release because they have that box office potential. Definite treasure. Let me know what you guys thought about these trailers that were released this week and which movie you're most excited for. Moving on here to a rather interesting story concerning Bob the Builder. Yeah, don't know if you ever thought about that dude in a while, but I'll tell you right now, the man's gotten a tan because Bob the Builder's Latino now. In an article with Variety, they have it here that Jennifer Lopez is set to produce a Bob the Builder animated movie at Mattel starring Anthony Ramos. A twist on the long-running childhood series Bob the Builder follows Roberto, aka Bob, who travels to Puerto Rico for a major construction job. According to the official logline, audiences will see Bob as he takes on issues affecting the island and digs deeper into what it means to build. Now with that right there, let's hear it, boys. Let's get them boys with the dirty beards living in mama's basement who hate everybody saying, Bob the Builder went woke! Tell me right now, on YouTube, is there anybody out there with a Bob the Builder thumbnail where he's got red eyes? It's got to be out there already now, right? Aside from people fake rage baiting that they care all of a sudden about Bob the Builder, this is definitely an interesting direction for the movie to go in. If you really wanted to make a movie about a Latino handyman, then you should have gone with Handy Manny. I didn't really grow up with Bob the Builder, kind of past my time, but the man I did grow up with was Handy Manny, and that show was fun. You should have just made this a Handy Manny movie, man. If he's not showing up in the post-credit scene, I'm gonna be rather disappointed. We'll see how this movie turns out when it gets released. It's just funny to think now that Bob the Builder is actually named Roberto. Bring us here some updates with Marvel, starting off with the ongoing casting search for the Sentry. Now, as you guys know, Sentry was originally going to be played by Steven Yeun in the upcoming Thunderbolts movie until he just felt like he didn't want to be part of the film anymore. This has then led Marvel to look for a new person, and it looks like the current person that they're trying to get is Lewis Pullman, who you might have recently seen in Top Gun Maverick playing Bob. And looking at what Bob was in Top Gun Maverick and just his appearance and all that, I feel like, yeah, this could fit well. From what we've been hearing reports on, it looks like Sentry in this movie is supposed to play almost like a Captain America-like person. And when I say that, I mean someone who is really scrawny, weak, nerdy, is always getting pushed around, and then throughout the course of the movie is going to be gifted with the powers of Sentry, becoming one of the most powerful people in the MCU. And I doubt they're going to go with the good Boy Scout Captain America tradition of once he gets that great power, he's going to be a great man. It's probably going to be more something like when the scrawny guy finally gets all the power he's been desiring, the boy's gonna go crazy. But we'll see, man. Lately, it feels like Hollywood is not really on board with Marvel, you know? Audiences are one thing, but Steven Yeun dropping out as Sentry, not wanting to be part of the movie. Then you have Marvel, like, spending months and what feels like years looking for the Fantastic Four, going through so many actors and getting reports that some people just don't want to be part of a Marvel movie anymore. Who knows what's happening? What do you guys think, though, about this casting for Sentry? Another interesting story we got concerning a Marvel project is for the Fantastic Four. While we are still waiting to find out who this cast is, if they're actually going to film this movie this year, we got some kind of concerning news. It's being reported right now, according to Daniel RPK. He's saying here that new writers were brought on to do rewrites for the Fantastic Four script. The new script is expected to be completed within the next month or two. And that feels concerning because now this would be the third person to rewrite the Fantastic Four script. It was only just like last October, November, we got reports that Marvel was wanting to fix things up at their studio, really perfect the Fantastic Four script, so they hired Avatar 2 writer to rewrite it, and now after he wrote it, they need someone else to rewrite it. That definitely has got to scare us Marvel fans and makes us wondering what is happening in the behind-the-scenes writing phase that they just cannot get these scripts the way they want to, that they have to continuously rework them. You know, I did see one scooper look at the more shining light of this, and maybe it can calm us down, where this scooper says, no one should be concerned about this. And you'll see this happen a lot more at Marvel as they look into scripts before shooting starts, so they aren't making changes during production and post. It's not a bad thing, you're just going to see a slowdown overall. And when they put it in that perspective and kind of spell it out for us this way, I guess it does make a little bit of sense. The past couple of Marvel projects have been run down with reshoots, rewrites. Look at Captain America 4. That was a movie that was finished filming, and now all of 2024, they are spending like 8 months of reshoots on that movie. Meaning they filmed an entire movie where it just didn't seem to go the way they wanted, where it looks like they're refilming the entire thing. That's gotta be expensive to basically film one movie and then end up having to refilm the entire movie. We've heard of similar things with like the Marvels and other projects, like they kind of did with the upcoming Daredevil series. Remember, they filmed 6 episodes before they decided to fire and then reboot that series altogether. All that is wasted money and filming and time. I guess this is Marvel just wanting to completely 1000% perfect their script so that when they go into production, there's not much reshoots needed to be made. There's not a whole bunch of rewrites. It's just like, this is our product. This is what we believe in. Let's go for it. But you gotta admit, it still feels a little concerning to have this movie be rewritten that many times. This is where I throw off to you guys. You see this Fantastic Four Marvel update. Are you believing what the scooper says? Where like, this feels normal and is just a precautionary measure? Or no, Marvel's just losing it. And well, speaking of maybe Marvel losing it, let's talk about this Spider-Man news, because things are off the charts with Sony. So we just got a report for Daniel RPK, who let us know that Kevin Feige and Tom Holland want Spider-Man 4 to be a grounded story, while Sony wants to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield again. This has been the story that's been going around for the past few days, and it's really torn me because I fully believe it. I 1000% that Kevin Feige and Tom Holland most likely...
Are you sweating? Didn't you use Old Spice dry spray? Of course I did. Don't lie to me. Old Spice.
Most likely want to make the next Spider-Man 4 movie a grounded story, more of a solo Spider-Man movie, where he's just in the streets of New York, alone, maybe dealing with the aftermath of losing his girlfriend, losing his friend, but he still wants to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, have a couple of street villains come out, whether it be Scorpion, Kingpin, Daredevil comes in for a little team up. No joke to you, that would be my ideal perfect kind of Spider-Man movie right now with Tom Holland. That's exactly what I want to see. But Sony right now is being money hungry. They want to go bigger and grander, to the point that they're considering bringing back Tobey and Andrew. Like, it's so weird to think I don't want that for a movie, because of course I want to see Tobey and Andrew come back. Are you kidding me? But I just don't feel like Spider-Man 4 is the right time for it. You're obviously wanting to start a brand new trilogy of movies with Tom Holland, and if that's the case, you kind of got to scale back. You got to go grounded and build up to another big event. All the specialness and rarity that came with Spider-Man No Way Home, having those spider people on screen, was a beautiful, cinematic, fantastic event that even if people are now turning on No Way Home, I still cherish that movie for what it accomplished. But now if you start to make this a regular thing where they just show up in Spider-Man 4, and then obviously in Spider-Man 5, you have to do something bigger, which I don't know what is bigger than bringing back those Spider-Man people, and then forget about Spider-Man 6. How do you even beat that? It feels like Sony is obviously setting them up for failure. Even worse, with their Sony spin-off universe kind of tanking right now. I mean, the projections for Madam Web looks like it's going to open worse than Morbius, and we know Morbius was a flop. It feels like they're kind of tired of losing the money and are desperate to do whatever it takes. Now, again, like I said, if they end up bringing Tobey and Andrew for Spider-Man 4, oh, I'm buying 10 tickets, seeing it freaking 40 times opening weekend like I did No Way Home. But deep down inside, that's not what I want to happen. You know, I want Tom to shine in his own movie and not me to be tricked into liking his movies just because some of the OGs are there. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. I have seen some people torn where they just don't care. They want those boys back. There's other people that are like, no.
Damn, bro.
Let's make it grounded. Where do you fall in line on this dilemma, and what would you want to see? But that is all movies we currently have going on right now.
On similar shit, though, I don't feel... I honestly feel the same way about Spider-Man 4, bro. I really want them to just focus on Tom Holland's Spider-Man, bro. And yes, dude, I really want them to face off against Kingpin, bro. Come on, bro. Just do that, Sony and Marvel. Come on. Anyways, man, if you guys like my reaction to this video, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.